Welcome to Women of the Metaverse. I am Cheryl Laidlaw.
I am Angela Harkness. We have been and are still on a journey to discover the Metaverse, Web 3.0, NFTs, and anything that we are required to know to join this world.
From this podcast, we will help you to unlock how the Metaverse is going to impact your brand, your business, and even your personal life.
Join us as we take the mystery out of this new digital universe.
Welcome to episode 9 of Women of the Metaverse. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about gamification and how it works and how you can apply it to your business or brand. The most common definition to explain gamification is using gaming components in a non-game environment. Think badges, prizes, leadership boards, and points. They all create gamification. How did it come about, Angela?
So, gamification is not new to any of us. Whilst the word is a recent term, the actual concept is centuries old. But if you think back to your own childhood, like brownies and guides and being rewarded your badges, or I used to love gymnastics, and I got so excited when I get my Bagger awards, I'd make my mum sew them on my leotard. Or think of school and house points, how excited you would be to get a house point. And Dr. Sack Fitzwalter, not easy to say.
Not easy to say at all.
One of the first people in the world to get a PhD in gamification, explains gamification as using the power of play to motivate people. And you can do a drinking game for the number of times we say gamification in this episode, because it's a lot. He used an example you may already have seen in a video, but we'll post it on our show notes anyway on the website. There was a company in Sweden who wanted to motivate people to exercise more. So what they did was they rigged the steps outside a train station as a piano. So as you walked up the steps, you played the piano. They found that 66% more people than normal chose the steps over the escalator. And it just a very simple example of it shows that it doesn't take much to introduce gamification.
What about that video you sent me the other day, Angela, of the bus company in Romania?
Genius.
Absolutely genius. So let me tell the listeners. The aim of the game is if you do 20 squats, you get a free bus ticket.
Love it. Love it.
So you stand in front of this device, you do 20 squats, and then the machine will measure that you've done and completed these 20 squats and then issue with a ticket, which I think is genius.
So simple, so smart. It reminds me of that Derek Sivers TED talk with the guy dancing at a festival and starting a movement.
Okay, explain more.
So this is quite a famous video, and what happens is this guy's at a festival and he's dancing, really strange dancing. And then somebody else joins in, and then somebody else joins in. And within about 3 minutes, there is half the festival is dancing with this guy. And what it shows you really is the power, or how powerful gamification is, that it can encourage others to join in. So for example, if you were the person that walks up the steps first and the piano plays and somebody else hears it and thinks, oh, I'll just give that a little try, and then other people try another trick, and you see it on the video, people sort of looking, and then they step on it, and then they step back, and then they step on it again, and then they go up the stairs. And the same with the squats. I mean, you must look a bit of an idiot standing at a bus station doing squats, but if one person does it and other people see it, they will join in. So this is where the power of gamification comes in. And look,
also people do anything for a free bus.
Oh God,
ticket,
wouldn't
right?
they? Wouldn't they? I would.
would.
I'd stand there. But other people might. But other people might not be the leader in this. But they think, oh, I'd love to do it, but I'd look a bit stupid. But if they see other people doing it, then they would do it themselves. But look at things like Wordle, such a simple application, or when the Sudoku viral moment started and people joined in. They're all very simple examples of gamification, but there are so many. So what are some of the more popular ones now, Cheryl?
Okay, so we've got Headspace, Now, if you meditate for a certain amount of days, I know 10 days, 12 days, 24 days, 50 days, it will then register that on your app and it encourages you not to break the
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
Same with Fitbit and the Apple Watch. We got the rings. We want to close
Yeah.
our rings every
Or your
day,
10,000
right?
steps. You got to do your 10,000.
Absolutely. You need to get that little ding ding on the watch. It's imperative that that needs
Yeah.
to happen, you know. We've got the Starbucks
Yeah.
reward scheme. That is an app that you download and you
You
upload
get your free drink.
your money, you get your free drink.
You,
That's also a form of gamification. We have the lockdown phenomenon,
yeah.
Peloton, which I didn't get one. I didn't join the
No.
craze. I was a little bit gel at the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but of course there is a gamification element to that.
Yes.
We have good old Snapchat and why that was so successful. So if you contacted your friend on a daily basis, it would give you different, what could I say, statuses. So at first, your friendship was just a friendship, and then it leaded. If you contacted each other every day for 10 days, 200 days, it would give you more emojis, and therefore, if you broke that, you'd go back to number one. So that would encourage people to come back to the app every single day to contact your friend, even if it was just a silly
So
selfie.
simple, though, right? Just.
So simple. And then when I first heard about gamification, I immediately thought about BNI and how they use the traffic light system within the chapter that you join. So if you're not familiar with BNI, listeners, it is a corporation that you turn up to on a weekly basis. There is only one person from each industry, so one plumber, one web designer, one electrician, and you are encouraged every week to bring a referral piece of business to another member of that chapter. And the more business you bring, the more points you get, and the further up the leaderboard you are. And not only are you singly rewarded, but the whole chapter is
Yeah.
rewarded, and therefore given some kind of privilege at the end of the year. So that was what came to my mind when I first thought about
And the thing about
gamification.
this BNI is it's showing you this is not a technical thing. It is, so there's different ways in which you can do it. Whereas Headspace, Fitbit, Apple, Star, they're all apps. Whereas this, it doesn't necessarily
Yes.
have to be an expensive technology resolution to how
No.
you do it.
They encourage you to go to trainings, therefore you get more
Yeah.
points, and there's lots of other things that they encourage you to do. Oh God, so many things that I can't go into right now, but that that was what really stuck in my mind when I thought about gamification for the first time. And then we've got something as simple as what everyone can relate to is the Tesco's, the the club
Yeah.
card,
Love a
right?
reward point. I brought all my
We'd
flower
have a
pots
reward.
free with my Tesco's
There you
rewards.
go. My mum used to save them up every
Yes.
Christmas, and then she used to
Yeah.
splurge and get all her
Yeah.
champagne,
Yeah.
you know? So for gamification to work, there are four elements. So Andrew, do you want to explain it a little bit more to the listeners about what they are?
Okay. So if you were looking to put gamification in place for your business, like Cheryl said, there are four elements to it. Goal, there must be a goal to it. So if it was something to do with fitness, it might either be losing weight or look at Fitbit, 10,000 steps a day. But whatever it is, there needs to be a rule. So either not a rule, a goal. There needs to be not necessarily an endpoint. It could be a daily goal like Headspace where you have to meditate for 10 to 15 minutes, or there is an end goal to it. There also then has to be rules. So if you think of, for example, football, there are rules to football. There is the handball rule. You can't just pick the ball up and chuck it in the back of the net. There's the offside rule. Whichever you do, like Wordle, you have to do it in a certain number of tries. I think it's 6 or 7. But you have to have rules to your game. And then it has to be a challenge or a conflict there. So doing a round of golf in a certain number of shots, or you need to do your exercise every day, but there needs to be a challenge to it. It can't be, well, just do 2 minutes exercise. You know, if you were going to do that, then you would have to increase the challenge to 5, 10, 15, 20. So think about how you could challenge your clients if you were going to do some form of gamification. And then there does need to be a feedback. So this is where the rewards or the leadership boards or the badges come in. That's how the factors of gamification come into it to keep people going. But that's not all. What else is needed to make gamification work, Cheryl?
So motivation is another factor. There are 2 types of motivation that make gamification work. The first one are people who are motivated by rewards. So you get your badge, or you see that you have achieved your goal at the end of the day, week or month, for example, like Fitbit. And secondly, there are people who are motivated by taking part. So this is where streaks in gamification work. So for example, Headspace and Wordle. Angela, let's give a few ideas of how our listeners could add gamification to their business now and plan to use it in the metaverse.
So an easy one to start off with is something you could add to your online course or membership is quizzes. And whether you introduce some type of leadership board, or you could give rewards for completing these quizzes or for completing certain courses. So I actually have a coaching client who does GDPR. Not the most exciting thing in the world at all. Nobody wants to do data protection. And we were talking about this the other day, about how with her online courses, she could encourage people that had brought them to complete the online courses and add an element of gamification to them, just to encourage people who really don't want to do it, but need to because there are laws in the UK around data protection. So
we need to spice
it up even, you know, with the dullest of subjects, you can add an element of gamification, because people will join in then. You know, we are sad. We're like, oh, I want to prove I'm better than anybody else. I'm going to do this quiz, even though I don't care about it, you know? So that's another element. You could add in rewards for longer serving members in form of badges or in-person rewards. So I listened to some content from a kind of podcast or media company called City Extra, and they're Man City fans. I'm not necessarily a Man City fan. I just like their content, but they have a membership scheme on YouTube. And they were talking, it's been open nearly 2 years now. And for longer serving members, you get sort of icon as you sort of your membership increases. And they were talking about the fact that some members are reaching the 2-year mark and they would get a goat icon. So that's just, again, another simple way to, I love that. It's so simple, but
so simple. If you don't know, Andrew's a massive sports fan, if you will.
Yeah. You know, I like the psychology of sports. That's what I do.
Love it. Yeah.
So, but then you need to take it next level. So if you are planning for the metaverse, for example, you can now build your Horizon world, which Cheryl and I have been in. And you might see, I posted a video of us in there. You could create a scavenger hunt for team building exercise or brand awareness. You could use badges. We were trying to think of companies where it's not obvious, weren't we, the other day? We're trying to think of, rather than it always be about fitness. And we were talking about financial advisors. So if you ran a membership for people who are trying to get their finances in order or increase their wealth, you could influence your clients through gamification to complete set tasks. So which might be investing or putting your money into a pension pot, or understanding your current financial situation, paying bills, any of those things you could create gamification from.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you move your membership to the metaverse, you could put gamification on steroids. You could put you could reward people by crowning them.
Yes.
I love that idea.
I know.
You could be queen for a
I
month, for
know.
example.
Do you remember Foursquare, where if you were the first person to go to a certain place, you'd be mayor of that place, wouldn't you? Mayor on Foursquare. So
Absolutely. I loved
yeah.
that element. Everyone wanted to be
Yeah.
the mayor. Why would you
I
not want to be
know,
the
I
mayor?
know. So you could, like Cheryl said, you could really put, if you go into the Metaverse first, you could put all of this gamification on steroids. So retail, for example, we've talked about Tesco's rewards, and other smaller retailers are now doing their reward points. But you could take that to the next level of looking at your customers who have the most rewards. You could hold special evenings for your leadership board. You could give rewards to people who introduce people to your online store. And then when you create your metaverse retail environment, which you must do, plan for, you could, again, take it on steroids. You could give customers special powers if they reach a certain number of points. Or, like we said before, you could build 100-story building in the metaverse because there are no rules. So those further on the leaderboard, you could open special floors for them to buy special products. There's no limit. There's no limit once you...
I love your imagination, Angela. You're wrong.
So there's no limit when you take this into the metaverse. So that's just a little bit about gamification. Why don't you give us some last thoughts, Cheryl?
So there's a reason gamification works. Fun and healthy competition drive sales to your brand. It doesn't need to be expensive. It can be simple. Just follow the gamification principles that we've discussed in this episode and have fun with it. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Women of the Metaverse.
You can find all information, links, and people we talked about in the show notes on our website.
If you have enjoyed this podcast, please comment and subscribe.
Join us again in the next episode as we continue this exciting metaverse journey.